everything is going extremely well.
And now, showtime.
Woo! Yo, okay. Yeah. So we're diving in, let's just get knee deep into it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get into the sauce. We've been focusing in on so much fun stuff lately that I feel like we've got time and room and the ability to focus on bigger, more important things like the idea and the actual factual situation. The ROAS is absolute shit. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Now, you might say that ROAS is, return on ad spend, right? Revenue divided by ad spend, but that doesn't mean anything, right? So first off, let's break down a couple columns here that you need to have. First off, GPT. If you don't have GPT in your ad account right now, we need to make that. So let's start right here. Okay. GPT. Okay. This is purchases conversion value divided by purchases, which gives us our average order value, divided by the cost per purchase. So what this is telling us, minus cost per purchase, not divided. What this is telling us is how much money are we making per transaction? Now, it's one thing to say, well, my ROAS is 10x. Awesome. So you spent $1 and you made 10. That's a $9 profit. Fantastic. Is that scalable? Is that real money? Is that actual? The problem is you have to do that math in your head to understand. And more importantly, that doesn't necessarily tell us the actual dollar amounts, right? Let me give you an example. And I was just talking to my buddy Phil Rivers, right before going on to this, email King Phil, the homie. And something I told him a long time ago is 100% profit margin on $100 is 1% profit margin on $1 million. Margin isn't money. Okay? We have to remember that, kids. Say it with me. Throw it in the chat. If you're here, let me hear you. Say it with me. Margin isn't money. 100% profit margin on $100 is $100. 1% profit margin on $1 million is $10,000. $100 is 1% of 10,000. The point here is we got to start thinking about things in a different way. Man, this looks better. I got a light. I got a pro light, and I'm so happy with it. Things are working out. Upgrade here at Disruptor HQ in LA. Charlie dropped $50 on an Amazon soft light. And it helps. I was inspired by Dara Denny. She's just so pro all the time. And one of her videos, How to Make Six Figures as a Media Buyer. Great video. You just see some of her background. I was just like, shit, she's just so pro. It's just crushing so much. I just love to see her. She's so amazing at what she does. Anyway. So the question is, do you want to make 100% profit margin or 2% profit margin? Because 2% profit margin on $1 million is twice as much money. Considerably more, not twice as much. It's 20 times more money than 100% profit margin when it's $100. Literally, Dara, I just dropped your name. I just dropped your name on a YouTube live and you texted me. Love it. Fantastic. Dara just texted me. That's wild. So anyway, let's actually see the real numbers. Let's actually understand what's going on. And let's actually begin to break down what's happening at the ad level or the day or understand why things are happening. Because remember too, you need to pay bills. Margin doesn't pay bills. Actual money pays bills. So when you want to make a profit and scale your Facebook ads, it comes down to understanding how much profit you're actually making. Margin isn't money. So let's just, for the instance here, let's just take a look at last 30 days. We'll go to school here. Let's just break this down. Okay, let's just do it this way. We're going to break this down by day. Let's just see our gross profit per transaction on school. Now, for purpose of this is my Disruptor Academy. By the way, there's the thing right there. Go ahead and scan that to join. It's free for 7 days. It's like 90. Can I make it $4 a day? And if the answer is yes, then you should never leave. We also just launched an affiliate program. We get 20% for everybody you bring in. And if you bring in 5 people, basically you never have to pay again. You're getting paid to be a group member. So do that. Anyway, let's just add something silly like ROAS here. Okay. We're adding in silly numbers. Okay. Let's bring this in. Boom. All right. Now, 3.32. Great. That's our ROAS. Our GPT is how much money we actually made. Let's completely debunk the concept of ROAS here real quick. Because if you're trying to make a profit and scale your ad account, you're probably looking at ROAS first. All right. Our average is 32. Awesome. What does that mean? Okay. On this day, our ROAS is a 1.49. And that means on every transaction, on average, we made one transaction that day. That was yesterday. Weird. We made $31. Okay. On this day, our ROAS was 23, which is like exponentially better than a 149. And for every transaction, we made $92. This doesn't mean we were actually 15% better or 10x better. We were 3x better. Does that make sense? And it's, well, because of another metric. So let's go ahead and get this into context so we can begin to understand things. Let's drop in AOV. Okay. Boom. Now, when you begin to look at ROAS versus AOV and money in the bank, actual revenue numbers. So let's do one more thing here. Let's throw in more silly numbers that don't really help us out. Let's just get purchases value in here. Okay. Again, fun, not useful, but fun. Let's just throw it in here. Okay. Now we're going to start to see some things. All right. On this day, $65, we made 97. So that means each transaction, we made $31. On this day, our ROAS was 2,300. We made $1,300. Our AOVs were the same. On this day, we had $22 ROAS. We made $1,900 on basically the same amount of spend, $30 difference. But we made $170 per transaction because our AOV was twice as much. The point is, this number doesn't mean anything. How much money did we actually make is profit volume. So let's go get that number now. So if we want to get profit volume, that is purchase conversion value minus amount spent. That actually says, what is our total volume of profit? How much money did it actually make? Remember, margin isn't money. Say with me, kids. Margin isn't money. If you want to make a profit and scale, you can't do it on silly things like return on ad spend. And we're going to completely debunk that here in a minute, why return on ad spend is a metric, doesn't make sense. Instead, we're going to make a profit and scale the business. Here's what matters. When we're looking at all of this, profit volume is making a big difference. Profit volume makes a big difference. So on this day, we had a 16x ROAS, we made $1,300. On this day, we had a 1.5 ROAS, we made $30. But we look at our AOVs, are basically the same. But we can scroll down here. We'll see some AOVs. This day we had a 25. Our AOV is $2,500. 38 ROAS. The ROAS number doesn't mean anything. We hear days we lost money, but we're actually profitable. Like it's just so messy. The problem is this number just tells you how efficiently you're spending things, but doesn't actually tell you how much money you made. If I'm going to look at this and say, how much money did I make on just these ads? over the last 30 days. You could take this amount spent and you could multiply it. You could take that amount spent and you could multiply it by the ROAS to get your purchase conversion value, and then subtract the amount spent to see profit margin, volume, and then you're going to break all that stuff. That's a nightmare. And also like a ton of steps. And if you get down to the actual ads within all of this stuff, you're going to see that every day is a little bit different as well, right? We can see our GPT is different, our AOV is different. Like things are all over the place, especially earlier on. So what we're looking at here instead, by the way, this is the broad retargeting campaign juiced by the engagement stuff, all the stuff we've been talking about forever. Open kimono here, right, people? Instead, we can begin to start taking a look at actual dollars and cents. And if you want to make a profit and scale your Facebook ads, you have to understand your actual dollars and cents. So first off, instead of breaking down by day, let's break this down by week. Okay. Now, remember when you break down by week over the last 30 days, the top line item is always a shit line item. Just disregard it, okay? Now, you can see as we've been scaling up our broad retargeting and the seeding of that broad retargeting, our CPMs continue to come down. Our frequency is kind of staying the same, even though we went from 500 to 1,500 back down to 500. And to be fair, if we wanted to go lifetime here or maximum, you can see this 133, 400, 1,200, 8, 516. Remember, the reason we're doing this, the reason these numbers are all over the place, is because I'm investing a percentage of my recurring revenue in the growth of the business. This is all reinvested profit. And full disclosure, I've had my third week in a row on school where my profit volume is higher. The revenue number is higher. And we're about to have a fourth week in a row. Like things are cranking, right? So the amount of money I can spend is going to continue to go up. Now, it's weird because we're on a Friday looking at lifetime with broken down by week. Like the weeks just fall weird. But you can see that this number is basically our frequency number, and our CPMs are starting to, we've peaked and we're starting to come back down. And that's because our audience, we're getting better and better at it. Now, we can see some weeks have a better ROAS, some have a lower ROAS, whatever. But what really matters is like, what is the context behind that number and how much money are we making per transaction? So like, if we want to start understanding our gross profit per transaction, we can begin. Nice. Yes, that's Dara. Haha, nice. Awesome, Dara. Love to see you. I hope I get a slice of pizza with you when I'm in New York, Dara. I'm really looking forward to seeing you again. All right. The point of this is we can begin to see not just contextually like, oh, well, ROAS is just GPT times a number X, Y, and Z, but our AOVs are not always the same. Now, I'm promoting one offer. But if we take a look at it, we have 135.97, 337, 97, 97, 92, 128. Our AOVs are different. Now, the AOV is different here because people don't always buy what you sell. Sometimes they're buying other things and they're always buying what you promote. In this case, we had somebody join school and then jumped into the Inner Circle quarterly billing plan. So that was $2,500 purchase that came from a school ad. Now, if I'm just looking at ROAS on this thing, I'd be like, holy, we're at 6.95, scale to the moon. But we can understand that based on the GPT and the AOV that based on the GPT alone, we can see that this is an outlier. Like this isn't really working. Now, we can also see based on GPT alone that this was a rough week, but we can take a look at the business and understand what's going on and why. What matters is you could say, oh, well, the ROAS, sure. But again, ROAS isn't money. So let's break down where we get the ROAS from. By the way, welcome. Nice to see you, chat. We got 48 eyeballs, 48, 50 people in here. Let me know where you're sitting. Where are you at right now? We got a bunch of folks on YouTube. There's some folks on Twitter. It just continues to climb. Hey, share this out. Great. But let me know where you're watching from, everybody. We do this every Friday at this time. 2 weeks from now, we won't be doing it because I'll be at a wedding. So, oh well. But anyway, we're going to break this ROAS down. We're going to break down GPT profit volume. I hope this is starting to make some sense. What's crazy here, if you look at this, is you could say, Well, a 3.9 is clearly better than a 0.9. Sure. What's the difference? How is 3.9 to 11? Like, these numbers are all related. So why doesn't this work? Why is this a bad idea? Why can't we just look at return on ad spend? Well, there's a couple of reasons. So let's break those down. First thing I want to get to is attribution. So when you look at attribution, which remember I am leading the charge on the idea that attribution as a concept is complete nonsense. You cannot point to any one ad being the reason that something happened. But more importantly, if you were to turn off your ads, if you were to just stop running stuff, odds are you'd make a sale. Your sale yesterday isn't necessarily because of your ad spend yesterday. Your sale tomorrow isn't necessarily because your ad spend tomorrow. If you were to turn off all of your ads today, odds are you probably get somebody that saw your ad today that buys tomorrow. Now, if it's a one-day click attribution, we would say, well, they clicked on the ad today, they bought tomorrow. That works. But when you're looking at your Facebook dashboard, that sale is going to be attributed to today, tomorrow instead of today. So if you see my ad today on Friday, and then you decide to buy tomorrow on school, for instance, that sale is going to show up tomorrow on the dashboard. But the ad spend tomorrow isn't the reason that you bought. So when we're looking at ROAS, we have to understand that it's attributed transactions and ad spend, right? It's a revenue from attributed transactions and ad spend. But if we know that those attributed actions aren't necessarily because of that ad spend, let's say you're on a 7-day click, 1-day view, you could have clicked on an ad on Tuesday, but on Saturday, the transaction shows up on Saturday because that's when you bought. But maybe I turned all those ads off on Wednesday. It's going to be zero spend, zero spend, zero spend, zero spend, infinite ROAS, and then zero again, even though there's no added budget. The reason this matters and the reason this is really important is because if you want to make a profit and scale your Facebook ads, you can't look at the attributed timeline or the attributed ad to make something happen. And the more ads you have, the harder it is to understand what ad is doing anything. Now, I've had ads. I'm looking through my ad account right here. I've got an ad with like 170 ROAS or some 147 ROAS because it cost me 34 cents to make a sale for 50 bucks. Now, in reality, that ad was probably not the first ad somebody saw. That ad may have been clicked on or shown to somebody who was on the email list or randomly shown to somebody who also signed up because of YouTube. So the point is that return on ad spend number, the transactions that we're attributing the revenue from aren't necessarily due to the spend that day. So it's an inaccurate numerator divided by a denominator that isn't the reason it happened. Now you could argue, yeah, well, GPT is the same thing because it was a revenue from today. Sure. But what really matters when you begin to get into ad accounts, if you start to take a look at your GPT and your profit volume, is you're going to see if you have multiple ads promoting multiple offers or just multiple ads promoting the same offer, you're going to begin to see that some just have a better number than other ones. The actual money you make on a transaction is better or worse, regardless of the ROAS. And a great example of this, I have a brand that I'm working with in the quiet luxury space. We're actually doing a breakdown of them on Tuesday on the Disruptor Academy channel. Let me just share this out real quick, because you all should come and join the party. We're doing a party again on Tuesday this time. So let me just do this real quick. Boom. Come and join our party here. Yeah, there we go. We got a party. I'm gonna, we're doing a bunch of giveaways and all sorts of fun stuff. First comment on the video wins a fuck ROAS t-shirt, by the way. So I'm just gonna leave this up. We're doing a party March 11th, 2 p.m. on the Disruptor Academy YouTube channel. This is the video itself. If you want to take a look at it, full how to scale your meta ads. Full everything. We have 3 people waiting already, even though it's like way out. Join the chat. First comment wins a free t-shirt. Just anybody that wants it, go blow it up. We're going to break down this brand here, but here's the point. We have some ads in that brand where let me go grab the actual numbers here. All right. Where the ROAS on some products might be better or worse than others, but when you begin to understand GPT, how much does it cost to make money and how much is that money worth? Putting CPA and GPT into context, we begin to see that some ads are just a lot better than others at making money. Now, I'm going to just go into this campaign real quick. Sorry, I can't share it with you all. Unfortunately for the haters, we just can't be that transparent about other people's stuff. So I'm looking at this. We have an ad where it's $72 to make a sale. And that's $120 GPT. Sorry, AOV. So our GPT there is pretty good. ROAS, pretty good. Let's say it's $80 and 120 for the purpose of this conversation. That's a ROAS of 1.5 and a GPT of 40. Okay. Now, we have another ad where the cost of purchase is 95. Keeping it simple, let's say it's 90. But our AOV on that's like $180. Now you could say, well, your ROAS is 2. That's clearly better, but your cost per purchase is higher. So then the question is, well, what's the GPT on that? It's 90 versus 40. So then the question is, if you're looking at CPA, how many more things do I need to sell at 80? What is the volume of sales that I need at 80? Oh, I realize I'm not actually sharing this other. Share this tab instead. This is the video we're going to be sharing. Scaling meta ads, customized pivot table. Like we're getting into all sorts of fun stuff. Bonjour to Vancouver. First comment here wins a prize. The point here is simple. At $80, we make $40 profit. At $90, we make $90 profit. If you want to profit and scale your Facebook ads, we now have to understand what's the volume here on that $80 ad actually making us more money. So I'm going to just post something up here on ChatGPT real quick, but I want you to start to understand how we're thinking about this. So I'm going to pull over ChatGPT here real quick so that you can begin to understand how to weaponize this information. Let's say I have a product with a $80 CPA. Let me just type this in, cost per purchase, and a $120 average order value. Okay. I have a product with a $90 cost per purchase and $180 average order value. What volume? See, GPT knows I'm looking for profitable scaling margin. I hadn't even have to ask it. By the way, if you look into GPT to understand profitable scaling margin, it'll begin to work it out for you. What volume of sales of the 80 product do I need to have to make it a better option than the 90 when volume of profit is the goal? Okay, now this is some advanced algebra type stuff. But I want you to start thinking about this. And part of the value of being an operator is understanding the right questions to ask. Now, it looks like in order to make this work, we would basically have to effectively double the sales volume of the $80 product. Okay, so let's say how much would I have to spend on each to make the same volume of profit? The reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to begin to understand, if you want to make a profit and scale your ads, it's not about how profitable the ads are. It's about understanding the right questions to ask to understand which product to sell. So let's say at 9,000 in ad spend, how much profit would I make for each product? I misspelled product. There we go. It's live. Bonjour to Vancouver. All right. Yeah, we'll get to the GPT. By the way, where are you guys at? I'm missing some of the normal Friday crew. Anyway, here we go. This is what really matters. If you want to make a profit and scale your Facebook ads, you could say, well, one's got a ROAS of 1.5, the other has a ROAS of 2. Clearly, you should scale the 2. But that's not actionable data. The actionable data says, based on the GPT, yeah, BMO, I love it. Kaz in the house. Kaz, by the way, is a sneak peek on the course, the 3rd course video, and I'm very excited to get some of your feedback. I've seen that you like it, but I'm very interested to see what happens when you let it roll. So the point here is, I think, to be fair, the machine's off a little bit on the money, but whatever. In order to make, if I spend $9,000, the ROAS says 1.5 versus 2. That doesn't mean anything. When we look at the GPT, the gross profit per transaction, remember that's AOV minus ad spend. For the $80 product, at 9,000 in spend, we make 4,500 in profit. For the $90 product, we make 9,000 in profit. Now we're having real conversations. Now, let's begin to put this into real world practice when we're getting into your operating your business. Because we're not focused on day one. We're running businesses. We're not salespeople. Right? We're not an ad agency that's running on performance, worried about getting fired tomorrow. We're trying to make real money. We want to profit and scale our Facebook ad account, not have a profitable day according to attribution. So let's say these numbers are right. Now, let's put in a real world scenario, focus on SPR, second purchase rate. If 30% of customers of the $90 buy again in 90 days, and 20% of customers of the $80 product buy twice, how many days, how many days does it need to take for the $80 product to be more profitable than the 90 if I were to reinvest that money into selling that product again to another person? Give me a model on reinvesting my profits to make more sales. And I need to know what the timeline needs to be for the $80 product to be a better one at the end of 90 days when profit volume is the goal. Okay. So the point here is, and I'll just leave this up so you can see the prompt. The point here is we're now doing customer journey modeling. And this becomes really important because you can focus on just investing the amount of money you get and having an ad spend based on ROAS. You can say my target ROAS is a 1.3. So if I'm at a 1.5, I should raise my money. The problem is that's not actually how you scale your ad account. That's not how you scale a business. What we want to do is have a really clear understanding of the cash flow of the business. So when you're running ads to scale your brand, if you want to make a profit, you need to begin to understand things like this. So what do we got here? Key insights. At day 90, the $90 product remains significantly more profitable with $19,000 in daily profit, while the $80 product only has $972. The $80 product reinvests its profits at a slower rate because the lower cost per sale takes longer. The $80 product never overtakes. That's not exactly correct. So let's say, what if the $80 product had buyers buy again in 30 days? Okay. So now we're giving it some advice. We need to give it some context. So the point here is, if you're running your ads, it's not about the margin of profit on today's ad spend. Because also remember that people could see your email and buy. People could click on a Facebook ad or be exposed to one and then buy again in 2 days or 1 day or 7 days. So this is interesting. Update the reinvestment model, $80 profit purchase every day instead of just twice over 90. However, the $90 product, okay, how much money would the $80 product drive in revenue if someone buys if somebody buys again in 30 days and we use that profit to sell more product? And how much money would the $90 product drive in revenue if 30% of people buy again in 90 days? And then, so here we're going to do 20% of people. There we go. So we're ultimately trying to do some modeling here. And I want you to begin to understand this, because if you want to make a profit, it's one thing to try to just have a positive ROAS, and that's great. But understand that attribution isn't just from your ads, and it's not just from your ad spend today. You got to start looking at your business as you have basically three opportunities. Here we go. Man. Still drive significantly more revenue. Okay. Let's say, how good does it have to, what if the $80 product, let's make the ROAS the same. What if the $90 product only had an AOV of 135? Right? So now we're making it basically equal on the ROAS scale. The point is, you should be looking at e-commerce as lead gen. If your first sale, if your hero product is designed to buy a customer that will buy more than once, then you're setting up cash flow. Now, again, this $90 product just continues to outperform. Now, we have this $80 product as somebody they buy after 30 days. This $90 product, they don't buy again until 90 days. But you would say CPA, if we're doing cost caps, if we're doing cost control, we're going to sell this product. But because we're looking at GPT and gross profit per transaction, we understand that the ROAS on this could be less. Let's say the ROAS on this is even worse. What if the $90 product had an AOV? What was our profit margin on the first one? Was 80 to 120, so that's $40. So let's make the other one 45. Oh, then we're already there. Okay, I actually did this wrong. So in this case, a $90, so 135 divided by 90 versus 120 divided by 80. These aren't exact PSMs, but to understand what's going on here, the profit margin, the ROAS is the same, 1.5, 1.5, okay? They're both 1.5 equivalent ROAS numbers. But because we make $5 more per sale on the $90 product, even though the 80 has a shorter cash flow cycle, it can't possibly catch up in revenue. It can't catch up in the amount of money that we make. The difference in long-term profitability now comes down to repeat purchases and absolute profit per sale rather than the AOV alone, rather than the ROAS alone. These are equal things. But the volume of profit allows us to say the $90 product is going to make a profit and scale our ads. So we're coming up here, and I want to get to this again, real quick, chat, is that you should have 3 types of campaigns at your disposal. And I'm not saying you should have them all live. I don't think you should have all 3 of these campaigns live unless you're spending a lot of money. But what you need to understand here is, first, having ads where you're promoting a product where somebody is likely to buy again. Second, having ads that give you the lowest CPA. You don't care what somebody buys. You're trying to get the most amount of customers. And then ads where you make the most amount of profit volume per transaction. Now, what I showed you here was the highest profit volume per transaction. Greater profitability, even though the ROAS was equal, 1.5. The one where it was a 90 at a 1.5 made a lot more money than the one that was an 80 at a 1.5. And in fact, if we were to run that down, let's just go back to this real quick. How low does the $90 product AOV need to be for these to have equal profit at the end of equal profit at the end. Okay. And the reason that this is really important is because when you're spending money, it's not just about the profit margin. It's not just the profit margin. It's also the volume of opportunities you have and the value of each one of those opportunities. So in this case, what we're looking at is the most profitable ad that you can run, understanding that these people are likely to buy again. And then if we treat that as our average conversation, our average transaction, we would need to make so many more sales of the lower priced item to make it equal. Now, I unfairly put these two together, but here's the actual number. If the $90 product had an AOV of 123, because of the GPT, that would be the only way that it's an equal value offer to the 80. So if we just do 123 divided by 90, you would need a ROAS of 1.3. 1.37 at a 90 is the same as 1.5 at an 80. Now, if you're trying to scale your ad account and you look at a 1.37, you're like, oh, that's bad. But here we show that's actually not bad at all. And to be fair, this is with the 80, we've made their cash flow cycle shorter. I want you to begin to understand how these things really work together, okay? So the point of all of this is that you need to understand how you make money. And if you want to drive a profit and scale your Facebook ads, it has almost nothing. Yes, the ad is important. But the ad itself isn't the thing that makes it better or worse. It's the unit economics that come off of the ad. Now, I have two ads that I'm looking at in this scenario where they are promoting the exact same product. But the ad itself is driving a different kind of customer. And that becomes really important. Because remember, your ads also set people up to take different actions. And not everybody that clicks on your ad is buying the item that you're selling. Now, it is completely possible for, sorry, my nanny's here. Okay. Now, it's completely possible for you to have an average order value that is below the sales price of the product. We, in fact, saw that when we were looking at the school. School costs $97. Average order value for one of those weeks was $91, which means we're not selling the product on school. Those ads, for whatever reason, in that period of time, aren't actually selling that offer. And so we have to break down, like, why is that? And I'll share my screen here again just to kind of show you this, because it's actually happened, I think, yesterday or today, as an example. Here, boom, boom, boom. Okay. We dive into this. This AOV is 176. That's not a thing that I sell. The product is $97. It's a membership on school. This AOV is 77. I don't have discounts. So we have to remember that the ads that you run appeal to different people that behave differently. So your AOVs are going to be different. I just want you to see the raw data. So when we want to scale our ads, we have to understand what kind of ads do we have that are going to be better at attracting a higher quality customer. Now, it was unfair in that example of doing an $80 versus a $90, full disclosure. I should have done something where it was like $20 or make a $10 profit, $20 CPA, $10 AOV versus $90 CPA and 180 AOV. Because at some point, you're better off buying a ton of those $20 customers because they're more likely to buy a second time. The volume of people that are going to buy a second time, even if they both have the same likelihood, is a better opportunity at some point than the $90 one. And let's just work our way through this real quick, because I really love sharing these things with you guys, because I want you to see how to think about this. Because if you want to scale your ad account, you have to know these things. Okay. So let's break this down. Okay. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. All right. If I have a $20 product with an AOV of 30 and a $90 product with an AOV of 180, and both products have let me rephrase this, and 20% of people who buy either product buy again in 30 days. Okay, so we have a $20 product with an AOV of 30, ROAS of 1.5, versus a $90 product with an AOV of 180, ROAS of 2. If my budget is $1,000, which would get me more profit after 30 days. Let's take a look. So the point of this is now we're trying to do very different options. And the reason that this is important is because of that cash flow campaign that I was talking about. Which is better for you? Day one profitability or volume of opportunity for cash flow? Now, at $1,000, we're going to make so many sales of a $90 item and so many sales of a $20 item. And we're going to do the math here. But the point of this is you're now going to understand, you're going to begin to understand your hero product. And when people say, well, I've got 3 or 4 different products that all make money. Well, which one's got a better ROAS? Just promote that one. Well, sure. But at some point, I'm just going to remove this for a second. At some point, that's not a better offer. At some point, making more money on day 1 costs you money on day 45. So the question is, you have to know what that looks like. And to be fair, there's probably room for both. There's probably room for both offers, higher profit margin and higher cash flow volume. But then the question is, well, if we only have $1,000, what's the better thing to spend on? And it looks like this thing is struggling. Come on now. Come on, ChatGPT. I can do this stuff in my head. I'm waiting on you, and we're not getting here. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this manually. Okay, stop. Okay. I have a product. Okay, boom, boom. Okay, there we go. Let's just do this. Analysis paused. What are you doing? Come on, chat. You're breaking down. You're embarrassing me. Let's get it together. So this is basically saying we're going to make 50 sales. Each sale we make $10. And then 20% of those sales come back again. It's basically $600. All right, so here we go. Awesome. $600 profit. Now, let's do the same thing. 90, AOV of 180. Okay. So now this is basically going to be 11 sales times 90. So we're making more money right away. This makes twice as much money as that one does. All right. Now, let's start to play around and see when it's no longer as good. Let's say it's 145. Is this better? Now, mind you, we're also in a situation where it's very likely that your second purchase rate won't be the same. Now, it's still better at a ROAS of 1.5. The 90 is still better than the 20. And we know that from before. But what if we now take this and say only 10% of people buy again? What if our second purchase rate is only 10% versus 20? Because of the offer that we have, and those people behave differently. Well, at that case, the 90 is still a little bit better because of the GPT. It's so strong. Now, let's take this and say it's not a 90. Let's say it's a 50, and this is a 75. Okay. So we have a $20 product with a $30 AOV and a 20% SPR versus a $50 product with an AOV of 75. Still, again, a 1.5 ROAS, but only 10% of people buy again. Now, the $20 product is better. So now we're in a situation of like, okay, well, how much better does the ROAS need to be? What if it's 80? If both things are equal, at $50, the GPT isn't enough because of the volume of transactions to say that the $50 offer is better. Now, at an $80 AOV, we're good. Right? So like we can understand that at an $50 product with an $80 AOV, we can have a 10% second purchase rate. We're better off than a $20 product with a $30 AOV. Like these are the things that matter. And this is why raising your AOV is important. This is why customer journeys are important. If you want to profit from your ads and you want to scale your ads, you have to know these numbers. Now I'm going to throw one other thing out here real quick today. And we did not even get to the chat, to the comments, but that's, just what happens today. Sometimes we just get completely derailed. All right. Now, we're going to do both of these scenarios. $20 product with a 30, 20 with an AOV of 30. AOV of 30. And 50 with an AOV of 75. Let's see how much more would I have after 90 days. Okay. And buy twice. Now we're beginning to understand, what about multi-step customer journeys? What if we have somebody that buys a $20 product, buys again, they buy twice in 90 days? we now have a situation where the $20 product is actually going to produce at only 10% repeat buyer, but they buy twice, is more profitable than the $50 by $5. Okay. $20 product, 1.5 ROAS versus 1.5 ROAS. Now let's make this a bit more extreme. Okay. And we're going to end on this. Let's say this is 20% at a 1.5 ROAS. Now this is going to be, let's call this let's just say this is a let's see what happens. I actually don't know the outcome of this. I'm very interested. Let's do a 1.5 versus a 2. And again, the ROAS numbers don't matter here. Well, the point is, when you begin to look at this stuff, what you're buying is customer journeys. What you want is what we call mailbox money. The amount of money you would get just from repeat buyers. Your attribution is going to look better and better because you have more people buying a second time. Now you can say here, the ROAS is what's making a difference, but we see the ROAS isn't. It's the volume of profit that we're making is $50. That's what's really making it work. And just to prove that point, we have this. Let's do this one last time, but let's make the ROAS numbers more extreme, or the volume numbers more extreme. We're going to do a $60 at a 90. So same ROAS. Thanks, Jake. Same ROAS. Right? Same ROAS, but 20% of people buy again. So you're getting 3 times as many people to buy a second time. Twice as many of them buy a second time, and they're likely to buy more than once versus a higher number. Now, same ROAS, but the business models are different. The $20 product with a $10 GPT is a better option because of the volume of transactions you get. And ultimately, what makes one better than the other is understanding the unit economics that happen after the sale. That's what really matters here. Now we can play around with this more and see how low does the AOV need to be for them to be equal. And say, like, how much worse can the $20 ROAS be than the 60 because of the business model, the cash flow cycle, the amount of people who buy more than once, the amount of people who buy twice, 3 times. What the point of this is, would you rather make 50% profit on a $60 customer at a 1.5 ROAS where they're going to buy one more time, or a $10 profit, 1.5 ROAS on a $20 customer if they buy 2 more times? The point of the numbers actually are way more impactful than ROAS. GPT is going to tell you the actual profit margin, the volume of profit that you're making on each sale. And then you can have the profit volume give you the actual dollar amounts that you're making on each one of these efforts. But understand, if these are all new customers, the future of that money, the future value of that money is very different. And if you want to make a profit and scale, you need to start setting up your business to have a better cash flow. Cash flow is everything. Because at the end of the day, the CPA, the $20 product with the AOV, the CPA will change every day. But the consumer behavior is going to be very static. If people come and buy your product and like it, they're more likely to buy another time. If you go to a fish house and you order the steak and it sucks, you're less likely to go to the fish house. If you go to a steak house and order the steak and it's great, you're far more likely to go back again. You should not be trying to sell your products to make money. You should be trying to buy customers who are likely to give you money over and over again. If you do that right, you're going to be able to make a profit and scale your ads. Because what you're going to ultimately do is say, how much money am I making from repeat buyers? can I use only that money and only a portion of that money on ad spend to grow my ad account? And if the answer to that is yes, then you are going to be making a lot more money because you're not worried about day one cash flow. You're now buying leads. Your lead conversion rate is your second purchase rate. And then you can work on the average order value of every transaction in that customer journey. You don't need to work on day one AOV. You might have 2 or 3 shots of getting somebody to spend $5 more, $10 more. But because you're doing that on a customer journey, not a product, that lift is going to be stickier and more impactful. The purpose of an ad is to amplify a business model. It's not to make a profit. Profit is made because of the way your business works. And it's the number one thing I want you to get out of this. And if we've shown anything today, it's that margin isn't money. Money in the bank account is money. Your first transaction should be your least profitable. And the way you make money is by getting more people to buy from you more than once. That's how you make money. And then if you make that work, it's a question of your profit, your GPT, your gross profit per transaction versus the volume of customers that you get. And here we go. So you're saying your CAC should be less than your customer lifetime value. I mean, yes, absolutely. If your CAC is greater than your customer lifetime value, then you're losing money on that customer. But what matters here is, and I'll end on this, Carol, because I think that's a great question. If your LTV minus CAC is $10 or 50, you might have a product where somebody only buys once and your LTV minus CAC is $50. Not divided by, minus CAC is $50. And you might have another offer where LTV minus CAC is 10. But somebody buys 3 times. You have to get somebody to buy 3 times to make $10 on that person. You have to get 5 times as many people for that initial transaction to have the same value. And it takes a lot longer to do it. Now, the real question is, how do you set up your ad account? How do you make it work? And the honest truth is, you should have one campaign focused on getting repeat buyers. Or you should have 3 types of campaigns at your disposal. One to get repeat buyers, one to get a volume of transactions, and the other type of campaign you should be thinking about is one that gets you the most day one profitability. And the honest truth is, you're going to have a balance between those as you grow your business. What I want you to be thinking about is, what is your need? If you need to make more money right now, perhaps it's March and you're seeing struggles in what you're doing, focus on the day one profitability campaign. If you're doing good at the cash flow and you're doing really well at it, and you know June, I'm going to struggle, then right now you should be focusing, in that case, on getting as many people who are going to buy more than once and get as many of them as possible until you see the Facebook ad CPA rise, your CAC starts going up. And as your CAC starts going up, you shift from cash flow to profit volume. So that as the CPA rises, you're overcoming that issue by selling a higher AOV product, where your margin may be more or less, but your GPT is improving. The amount of money you make per transaction gets better, even if the ROAS is worse. And you're making the majority of your money from those buyers that you bought earlier on in that cash flow device. They're coming back and buying again and again from you. You set up your mailbox money to fund the business when customer acquisition is difficult. And when customer acquisition is difficult, you're letting that repeat buyer come back and give you money while you focus on getting the most profit volume per transaction by actual dollar amount on fewer transactions. Now, this is one that is probably less fun than others, and one that you'll probably have to watch a few times, but hey, it's live here on YouTube for that. And go ahead and join us on Disruptor Academy YouTube. Again, we have the new Disruptor Academy YouTube channel. Go and check it out, Disruptor Academy, right here. We have 342. We had nobody before. 1,000 views in 5 days on one video. Come back and join. We're going to be doing we're going to be doing gift card giveaways. We're going to give away a year. We're going to be away a year enrollment in Disruptor Academy. We're going to be giving away some merch and a couple other fun announcements. So don't miss that out. Plus, the people that watch it are going to get some really great freebies. And with that being said, y'all, I really appreciate your time. And I really appreciate your energy. And I see 2 more questions here, so let's just get it. Rita, how much money should I be prepared to spend on Facebook ads? I have no idea. There's multiple ways of doing it. Honestly, watch this first video because the answer to your question is it depends. Go to Disruptor Academy. One of the chapters of this video tells you how to answer that question. And then, Steven, this relies on having an email sequence to capture more sales in the background. Yes, you should have email. But also, like, you can run your ads without excluding purchasers. Your product should be good enough that people want to buy again. If you have to market to make sales, you probably have a product quality and customer journey problem. But yes, you need to have emails. And yes, you should be running ads. And yes, you should have an organic. You need 3 things to make it work. You need to be able to acquire attention. You need to be able to get outreach to your existing customers. And you need to be able to overcome objections to keep customers for a long time. Now, you can do that with customer service. You can do it with product quality. You can do it with Google ads. You can do that with Facebook ads. You can do that with TikTok or Snapchat or YouTube. You can do that with email. You can do that with, there's a million options to check those boxes. But ultimately, business is about acquiring revenue. Sorry, it's about acquiring customers, acquiring attention, monetizing it, turning that into future cash flow, and then investing that future cash flow back into acquiring more attention. If you have that flywheel, you're going to make money. All right. I'll see you all later. This was a lot of fun. Join me on Tuesday. We're going to be doing a ton of giveaways, 2 p.m. I'll see you there. Bye.